All right, I have such a juicy topic for you today. I know you're going to find this super useful. I'm going to confess something. This is actually one of the topics. It's one of the weeks where what I'm teaching on is exactly what I'm going through. So what I love to do, if you've worked with me inside Be The First, my career progression coaching program for mid to senior level Black lawyers who are ready to progress to that next level or think you might want to progress to that next level. That's what Be The First is all about. And one of the things I do frequently, in addition to teaching you that core strategy for progressing to the next level, is I bring you the challenges and the challenges I'm facing in my own progression and the tools I have created to overcome them, so that I'm constantly thinking up ways to support you and sharing with you ways and tools to support you to progress. And this episode is an example of one of those tools. I guess what it all boils down to is taking what I teach you and what I coach you on in order to help you fulfill your potential in the workplace, in your career. It's taking that and always coming up with different ways for you to solve for the challenges that you face along the way. And one of those challenges is the topic for today's episode, and that is procrastination. We're going to talk about overcoming procrastination. Here's why. A surprising number of you are getting stuck on this at the moment. 2 examples just from having coached all day yesterday inside Be The First. 2 examples that quickly come to mind. Number 1, a client who is really stuck in this habit of doom scrolling. She calls it doom scrolling. I know that's quite a common term that you've probably heard of, but for those of you who don't know what that is, it's literally the being on your phone and just scrolling through social media. Maybe it's also scrolling through shopping websites, but it's just like scrolling away and having no control over how much time you spend on your phone. It's like a sort of weird detachment, this thing you do where you switch off all your senses and all your feelings as to what's going on in the real world, and you're just like doom scrolling. You're just hooked on your phone and just scrolling, and before you know it, you look up and 3 hours have gone by. Right? And often what you're looking at doesn't make you feel good, it makes you feel terrible. Either it's horrible news, or it provokes a lot of compare and despair, or it's just often, like, how often have you been scrolling on your phone and you've ended up down a rabbit hole or going somewhere you really didn't want to go and you feel terrible afterwards? That's an example of what happens when you're doom scrolling. So this is one of my clients who's been really struggling with it, and that doom scrolling she has been using intentionally to avoid doing work that she finds hard. So there's so much procrastination that's going on, and she sees this as a real problem, a real barrier. Another client example for you. This particular client has to prepare her business case for partnership. She's finding this hard. She's finding it challenging. And she confessed to me in our coaching call yesterday that actually over the summer period, she just deliberately buried her head in the sand. She was finding it difficult, feeling despondent, asking herself, what's the point, feeling discouraged, and as a result, didn't make the progress with this business case and putting it all together that she had planned and hoped to do, and I'd been coaching her on doing. Okay, so again, it was bringing to the coaching sessions the ways in which you're getting stuck. And I just want to add, this is what is, I would even argue, the most valuable thing about being inside Be The First. For sure, the strategy is spot on. It will get you there. If you implement what I teach you and you follow the process for progressing to the next level, it will get you there for sure. The mindset that you need to drive that strategy will mean you are unstoppable. So whatever comes up, right, you will still have that mindset to drive you through those challenges. But actually the real power of being inside this program, or any of my programs actually, is how I'm with you every step of the way. I'm coaching you on the implementation. This came up actually in a call, was it this week? At the end of last week, with a firm who wanted to talk to me about my coaching offering. And I was explaining that we coach every single week. And they were absolutely astonished and astounded and thought, well, why do you do that? And so often, like, it's typical to just coach once a month or once every 3 months, or just have 3 or 4 sessions. And it's not that that style of coaching doesn't work. But the way you work with me, or the way I work with you, and what you get, and the reason why you would join Be the First above any other program, is I am with you every step of the way. I'm walking you through it. And when you go out and you try something new that you find challenging, or you're just learning to do, and you try it and it doesn't work, or you come up against something you weren't expected, or you do it and it creates a result that you didn't want, whatever it is, we come back to the room and we coach on it. So it means the focus and the objective of our work together is to get you to your goal. It isn't just to have an hour's coaching session together. So hence why these two examples of how my clients are struggling with procrastination has come up in the coaching room in Be the First this week, and why I'm talking to it today. In addition, by the way, to having really challenged myself around this subject in the last couple of weeks and needing to implement and apply what I teach you. So it's all really topical. So here's why this matters. It matters because procrastination on its own, it's something lots of people do. The problem is it seems really innocuous, and to do it every now and then, it's not a big deal, and lots of people do it. But if you don't have an awareness of when you're procrastinating, if you don't have a sense of how much it is holding you back or stopping you or delaying you in your work, if you don't have a strategy for overcoming it, it can actually get out of hand, and the negative results that it creates can really compound into a negative impact. For example, you know, and you'll have had the experience that if you delay getting down to work, doing the job for long enough, that work is going to build up, the pressure is going to grow, those deadlines are going to get closer and closer, and before you know it, you're battling, working late at night, stressing yourself out, having no sleep, trying to meet a deadline, or, as often happens, missing the deadline and having to deliver the work in late. This happens once in your career. It is probably not a big deal unless it's something really significant, right? If it happens just once with a piece of work that isn't a major client key deadline. If it continues to happen throughout your career, if you are in the habit of doing this, it can be very damaging. It's damaging for your brand, it's damaging for people's perception of you, and their perception of you is absolutely key in their decision to support you, to offer you opportunities, and to ultimately promote you. So we want to tackle this, my friend. We don't want it to be something that, okay, it might not define you as a lawyer, but we don't want it to be something that you carry around with you as part of your identity, who you are in the workplace, right? A procrastinator. The other reason why it's so important that we tackle this head on is because of the opportunities you miss when you are procrastinating. So it may well be that you can get a job or a bit of work done on time in the end, you meet a deadline. But what you will miss, for example, are all the things that you could have been doing if you just got that out of the way and your time was freed up for other things. What you also potentially miss if that deadline does pass is, for example, in the case of my client with her business case, if she keeps procrastinating that, she will miss the opportunity to go for partnership this year. Yeah, so there are some very real setbacks that you will experience if procrastination is something that just is allowed to take over your life and appear in your workday whenever it wants and just kind of hold you hostage. We don't want that. We want to have a handle on procrastination. We know it can happen. It's very human. It's expected. You don't always feel like tackling that next piece of work, but we want to have ownership over how much it impacts our work, and in particular, ownership over doing something about it, getting yourself out of it, all right? Which is what I'm going to teach you and give you a tool to do in this episode. Now, I want to mention that there's a third negative impact that procrastination has, which I think is very important to bear in mind. It's the impact it has on your relationship with yourself. I would even argue that worse than the build-up of pressure and the risk of missing deadlines and the missed opportunities, what is actually worse is how it undermines your relationship with yourself. So how you feel about yourself when you're constantly procrastinating, putting things off, leaving them till the last minute, not getting them done at all, is terrible, guilty, disappointed with yourself. feeling inadequate, it undermines your confidence. This is important. We don't want to be undermining your own confidence purely by allowing this procrastination to become a habit and create all of those negative results in your life and in your work. Okay? So that relationship piece is really important, and it's one of the key things that's at stake here. If you don't find a way to tackle procrastination, I'm going to say head on, but just to tackle it, right? It doesn't have to be head on. I'm going to actually be talking about 2 different ways of tackling it. So let's get stuck into this. Before I do, my full exposure, I've written this in my notes. I still procrastinate. As I said at the beginning, I often teach what I'm in at the moment, so I still procrastinate. And what I'm going to share with you are the tools that I use to ensure, first of all, I procrastinate so much less. Can you say that? So much less than I used to, right? Before I did this work. And this work is that the initial way of solving procrastination, which I'm going to share with you in a moment. So just hold that thought. So before doing this work, I used to procrastinate all the time. I spent a lot of time overthinking, a lot of time worrying, right? A lot of time delaying getting down to work. And then the second part of it is the strategy and the tool rather that I'm using right now in the moments when it does still come up. So I do it a lot less, but it still comes up. But I've got a really effective tool that has been, I've been like practicing and using and seeing how effective it is. And that's also what I'm going to share with you today. Okay, so my full disclosure, let's start at, well, the most important place, and that is understanding procrastination. There are 2 parts to this. I don't want to say it's an ailment. It's not an ailment. My brain offered me that word, but it's not an ailment. It's a behavior, right? There are 2 parts to this behavior, as with a lot of behaviors. There is the underlying cause, right, of the procrastination, of why you procrastinate. And then there are the surface symptoms. And it's really important that you understand the difference between those 2, because like what you do to address those, well, first of all, you want to be addressing both of those parts. And secondly, what you do to address both of those parts is different in either case. Okay, so here's my recommendation. What I recommend is that you address the underlying cause, and this be really the most important work you do. It's a bit like if you go to the doctors and you have a headache, right? So the symptom is the headache, but the underlying cause might be that you need glasses, right? And you've been reading small text and staring at a computer and your eyes are getting weaker and weaker and weaker. That's the underlying cause. So you can address the symptom of the headache by taking a paracetamol, right? Or some sort of ibuprofen, for example. That could be a recommendation from the doctor, not from me. I'm not a doctor, just to be clear. So you can address the symptom, but if you don't address the underlying cause, then that symptom is going to keep recurring. So just so you know, both the underlying cause and having a solution for that is at least as important, is most important, right, for this work. But I also recognize you're out there doing a day job, you've got to function, you've got to get to work, you may be procrastinating something right now and you're just like, Caroline, give me a tool, I need something right now. I would love to get to addressing the underlying cause, but that's like a little bit more involved in terms of the work I have to do, and I don't have time today. Just tell me how to sort it out right now. And that's what I'm going to speak to as well. So you also have a tool to tackle the symptom, right? To tackle the problem in the moment so that you can go out today and stop procrastinating, get on with that work. Okay, so in this episode, 3 things. 1, identifying the underlying cause. I'm going to tell you exactly what that is and so that you get a full understanding. Number 2, giving you the solution to that underlying cause, so that you become like more confident, so you procrastinate less, right? I've kind of given it away a little bit there. But the solution to the underlying cause of your procrastination is going to mean that you procrastinate less and less in the future. You become more confident and more resilient in the face of tasks that you have to do, particularly where those are tasks that you don't like doing or tasks that you find hard. So that you can see there's enormous value in addressing this underlying cause. And I'm going to give you the solution for how you do that. But third of all in this session, I'm going to give you that tool, right? The tool that you can use today to tackle it and overcome whatever you're procrastinating on right now. All right, let's talk to the underlying cause. Procrastination, what I see is how often it's really a secret sign of imposter syndrome. So the underlying cause is some sort of not enoughness. Don't get too caught up on whether you have imposter syndrome or don't have imposter syndrome. Pay attention to this word, not enoughness. What I see and what I hear is there's a fear you don't know enough. There's a fear sometimes that you're not capable or experienced enough to do the task in front of you, or a fear that what you'll produce won't be good enough. I have that sometimes, like, the thought that it's going to be hard because I don't know enough, or because I don't really know what I'm doing, or what I produce is actually going to fall far short of my expectations, other people's expectations. This, my friend, these are all examples of not enoughness, and they are symptomatic of imposter syndrome. They are indicators of imposter syndrome. And you see what happens with this not enoughness, right? This fear that you're not enough or somehow not capable enough, is it leads you to overthink. And that's my general term for anything that is going on in your brain that isn't moving you forward in a task, isn't creating some sort of progress. So overthinking, there are lots of different examples of overthinking, but procrastination is one of them. It's just a form of overthinking, right? What does that mean? It means that when you're procrastinating, what it tells you is it's just something's triggered your imposter syndrome. And I say just because one of the things I teach you, and if you've been following me for a long time, you'll hear this again and again. And if you keep following me, you'll hear it again and again. Imposter syndrome, that fear of not enoughness, is not a problem you need to fix. It's literally just something you get to solve for. And the solution I give you does exactly that. And in every time you solve for your imposter syndrome, however it shows up, today we're talking about procrastination as one of the secret signs, but it applies to all of the secret signs, all of the ways imposter syndrome shows up. So when you address that and you solve for that, then you have the confidence to get to work, to do your best work and fulfill your potential. Okay, so that's all you ever have to think about in the context of imposter syndrome. It's like, is this imposter syndrome? Right, okay, I know Caroline has the solution to this, and when I apply this solution, right, it's going to give me the confidence to get to work. And what's going to happen over time, as I am such an example of, is the scenarios in which you experience imposter syndrome get fewer and fewer. Your ability to overcome it when you do experience that, because you will as you progress and get into bigger and bigger and whiter rooms, right? Your ability to overcome it, you become more and more proficient at that. You get better and better and better at it and quicker at it, so that you just keep progressing, all right? So the underlying cause then, what's really going on is something's happened to trigger your imposter syndrome. That's all that's happened, okay? And so when you know that, the solution is simple. The solution when your imposter syndrome has been triggered is to remember who you are, okay? You're just going to remember who you are. Remember how capable you are. Remember that you are capable of anything you set your mind to. That's all it is. Just remember who you are. That's the solution. Now, here's how you know it will work. When you remember who you are, when you tune into, like, who am I? Where am I? Why am I here? How did I get here? Where am I going? This is the way I teach you inside Confident Black Lawyers. I'm going to talk to that in a moment, because this is where you will find more details of this solution and how you can get help with your procrastination. But all of those things, like that, remembering who you are, what it does is it connects you to the version of you that is capable of anything. So it connects you to your capability. That's what I say it is. It's the feeling inside that you're capable of anything you set your mind to. Right? It connects you to what you are capable of. You remembering who you are. It's really simple the way it works, but it is so powerful. And what this does is it gives you the confidence in yourself, the trust. It gives you the confidence and the trust to get to work, to literally do what's in front of you. So how it works then is you remembering who you are. That sort of takes away, or it takes you out of that not enoughness. What imposter syndrome really is all the time you spend thinking about what you're not. And actually what I teach you, and the solution is for you to switch into what, or who rather, you are. You just have to remember. You just have to remember who you are. Connect to that capability, and that creates such a feeling of confidence that you can then tackle the task in front of you to your highest ability. Okay? So now I've talked you through the underlying cause, and I've talked you through what the solution is. In terms of how you go about remembering who you are, this is a very tangible, practical, step-by-step process. There's a process for this that I have broken down, I've created for you. The solution itself I discovered years ago when I was despairing and not being able to ever overcome my imposter syndrome and properly step into my potential, constantly struggling and battling with it. And it was literally after trying everything possible that I could, and all of the tips and tricks out there, I tried everything, but they were all so temporary, and they either didn't work or they worked for such a short period or in limited circumstances, that after digging and searching and investigating and experimenting, I came up with this process that really just amounted to me remembering who I was. But I made that process actionable, and that's what I've put inside my confidence course for Black lawyers. So that's Confident Black Lawyers. That's where you'll find that process. So if you're asking yourself now, okay, Caroline, this is brilliant. I want to get to the bottom. I want to tackle the underlying cause of my procrastination. I want to tackle my imposter syndrome. I want to be able to solve for it. The answer is inside Confident Black Lawyers, the online course. And inside that program, I teach you, I walk you through a process for really remembering who you are, so you can, and having this imposter speech tool, right, that you can connect to whenever your imposter syndrome has been triggered. You literally have this tool to connect to, and that's what connects you to feeling your highest level of capability and confidence to do the work. So this, I want to say, is the work, my friends. This is what you want to be focused on. This is what you want to prioritize, the work of solving for your imposter syndrome so it never holds you back again, whether it's through procrastination, through any other form of overthinking, whether it's through overworking or playing small or self-sabotage. Those are the kind of generic, I use those categories to describe in a more general way all of the ways in which imposter syndrome can hold you back. And what I'll do is I'm going to put in the show notes a link to a free download which just gives you the secret signs, those secret signs of imposter syndrome to look out for, and it gives you all the detail of the overworking, the overthinking, if you want to delve a little bit further into that if this is new to you. But coming back on topic, just to remind you, this is the work. It's so important, and what's wonderful is the solution I give you of remembering who you are, building your imposter speech and using it so you have that tool that helps you remember who you are, right, and gives you the confidence to succeed. That applies to every scenario where your imposter syndrome may be triggered. So it's one tool you can apply in a myriad of different scenarios or to a myriad of different symptoms, okay, in order to overcome your imposter syndrome and experience that less and less and be able to perform to your potential. Okay, let's stay on track here. I always get so excited talking about Confident Black Lawyers and what it does, and that tool, the imposter speech that you build from within it, that does the work of tackling that underlying cause, remember. Okay, so we've looked at that part one, how to tackle the underlying cause of your procrastination. We need to get you out of that not enoughness. You need the tool, right, to just have with you at all times whenever procrastination comes up, whenever you experience imposter syndrome, to have that tool, and you build that. It is something you build. You don't just create it overnight, you build it. Hence the program and the process I've created for you. Now, for those of you who've been waiting really patiently and you're like, yeah, Caroline, I want to tackle the underlying cause one day, but right now I've got something that's due in later on today, and I absolutely need to get this done right now. Help me get over my procrastination today. Here, my friend, is the tool. It's called Stay with the Hard. It's a, 3-step process. And I promise you, right? Apply this process and you will overcome your procrastination in the moment. Step number 1, notice what you're doing to procrastinate. This is really simple, really important. Just notice. Be the observer of you, of your own behavior. So while you're not doing the task in front of you that you know needs doing, or for that deadline that's coming up, what are you doing instead? Every time your brain goes to that task, you think about that task, because it does, you haven't forgotten, right? You can only procrastinate for something you know you're supposed to be doing, right? So you have full awareness, consciousness of what you should be doing. What are you doing instead? Where does your brain want to escape to? Where does it take you to avoid doing that task? Now, for me, what I've noticed in observing myself, my brain is so sneaky. So I'll have a task that I know I need to do, and my brain will go to email. It will automatically go to my Outlook. It will just open it up on my phone or on my desktop, and I'll start answering emails, right? Or start flagging emails. And I'll go through, and I won't even do the hard ones. I'll just start going through all the easy, the low-hanging fruit, right? And what it does is my brain sort of trying to distract me with the fact, no, but I'm working. I'm making good use of my time. So I know that this is a tell for me, right? I know that if I keep going to my email on a day or an afternoon when I've got a job to do, I notice that I'm procrastinating. Super simple, but noticing is really powerful. Because here's what then happens when you start to notice where your brain wants to take you to escape doing the work, right? You then start to catch yourself, okay? So as soon as you notice that that's what your brain wants to do to avoid the work, you start to catch yourself avoiding the work. It sounds very similar. There are two very separate steps. One is being you being the observer, okay, and just noticing out and being curious. And the other one is like, aha, right, I'm on to you now. This is what I'm doing. I am procrastinating by going to my email, right? It occurred to me as I was saying that it's not groundbreaking for you to kind of notice that you're procrastinating. The key here is to notice how you are procrastinating, what your brain is telling you or trying to get you to do instead of doing the task. So notice how you like to procrastinate and then catch yourself in the act of procrastinating. If we see procrastinating as the act of diverting your attention away from the discomfort of doing a hard task or a task you don't want to do, it's the diversion. Catch yourself in the diversion, all right? And then the third step is really simple. You've got to go back to the task and you've got to stay with the hard, okay? Stay with the hard. So when you notice or you catch yourself wanting, in my case, use my example, I catch myself wanting to go to email. I catch it wanting to go to email. So before I do it, I catch it. Or I open up my email and I'm like, okay. And what I say to myself in that moment is, Caroline, stay with the hard. Stay with the hard. What's the hard? The hard is the task I need to do. The hard is the discomfort I feel when I think about doing that task. The hard is the feeling like my skin is crawling as I sit there and look at the task I have to do, and I have to deliver it by a certain time, and I don't want to do it, and it seems hard, and I don't feel like I'm enough, and I don't know enough, and it's not going to be good enough. That is hard. All of that is discomfort. It's hard feeling, and I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in the hard. I want to be over here answering or looking at my emails and feeling or kidding myself that I'm being proactive and productive. I don't want to be in the hard of not knowing what to do, or not knowing, or thinking I don't know the answer. But the tool is to stay with the hard. Here's why this works. We think, right, at a subconscious level, that what it takes to get work done is for it to not be hard. I mean, think about it. If you're avoiding something that's hard, you're procrastinating doing something that's hard, what you're really saying is, I'm only going to do this task if it's easy. And in a way, the sort of procrastinating is like this fool's errand of waiting for the task to become easier. Isn't that what we're basically secretly doing when we procrastinate? I'm going to wait till the task becomes easier before I do it. You're not thinking that at a logical level, because obviously it makes no sense, but actually emotionally, like internally, I think below the surface, that's what we're really saying. I'm just going to avoid that until it becomes easy, right? So what I want to offer is the instruction to yourself to stay with the hard, to observe the feeling of hard in your body. My client described it as her skin starting to kind of crawl. My experience of it is I want to crawl out of my own body. I literally want to escape. Yeah, I kind of want to crawl out of my own skin. Like, it feels so uncomfortable. I so don't want to do it. I start to feel sick and my heart pounds. I get sweaty palms. Like, those physical symptoms and feelings, they feel so hard. I don't want to stay with them, but I just stay with them. Like, I'm reminding myself that I have the way to this task or through this task is to stay with the hard, not wait for it to become easy, not look for comfort, which is what you do when you procrastinate and put it off, you go elsewhere. Stay with the hard. So that's it. This is the tool. It's so simple. Notice what you do to procrastinate. That's step one. Catch yourself in the act of procrastinating and then stay with the hard. Feel it in your body, feel it on your skin, feel it in your brain, feel it at the back of your throat, feel it all over and stay there. Stay with the feeling, stay with the feeling. Here's what will happen. You eventually, at some point, much sooner than you expect, the hard will stop feeling so skin crawly. That set of emotions and physical feelings will start to reduce. Okay, and what will happen is when you offer yourself no means of escape from the hard, you will start to tackle the task. This has been my experience, and I've been coaching on this and seeing what's coming up for my clients, and I promise you, I think this is going to be a great solution for you. It really is the desire to escape the hard that's causing procrastination, and the answer to procrastination isn't to stop it being hard. It isn't, in my experience, to make it easier. It is literally being willing to experience the hard and stay there, stay in it. And just you watch and wait and see what happens. You will start that task. And as soon as you start that task will become easier. And even if at a certain point it feels hard again and you want to escape, you catch yourself, you stay with the hard, you will make progress on that task. And then you will make more progress until at a certain point you will build enough momentum. You're so in it, you keep going, you get it done. Okay, that tool you can do right now today. Notice what you do, catch yourself doing it, stay with the hard. That's it. All right, my friends, that has been my lesson for today on how, staying with the hard is your tool, right? Your everyday tool for tackling the symptoms, of procrastination. Remember, it doesn't tackle the underlying cause, so of course you're going to keep coming up against this, right? Procrastination is going to keep being a thing that you have to battle as long as you're only ever using tools to try and overcome it in the moment. That's okay. Sometimes we just want the Nurofen for our headache. But what you want, if you don't want to keep having headaches, just to continue that analogy, is you want to tackle that underlying cause. So this is exactly what I help you do inside Confident Black Lawyers. It's a 6-month online course where you can, in your own time, you just get a series of really powerful, transformative trainings that help you to remember who you are. That is the process you go through. You remember who you are. And as a product of the process that I walk you through, you create a very physical, tangible imposter speech, like your pep talk that we built through the remembering process, an imposter speech that you can say to yourself. It's your pep talk in those moments when your imposter syndrome is triggered. So when you're given a piece of work or you're given an opportunity and what your brain wants to do is procrastinate, when you have done this program and you have your imposter speech, you can just bring that imposter speech straight to that scenario and use it. You literally, as soon as you know it's imposter syndrome, you say your speech, okay? And that gives you the confidence to get to work. It connects you to that capable version of you that's capable of anything you set your mind to. Yeah, but you want to go through the process, and that's exactly what I walk you through inside Confident Black Lawyers. And the results, my friend, are amazing. I was brought to tears just this morning, one of my coaching sessions, coaching one of my clients on the she's had so many amazing results coaching in side B, the first, right? But the work we've been doing on her confidence, which is what you will learn, it's the work you will do when you join Confident Black Lawyers, has taken her from, I don't even know where to start in describing her transformation. But what we focused on today was how she always used to feel there was something big she needed to do, something impressive, like to properly confirm that she was good enough, to properly show or meet other people's expectations, to properly give her that sense of accomplishment that she not even deserved to be where she was, but that she was fulfilling her potential, actually. That there was that one thing. And the interesting thing is, when she first started working with me, this happened at every level of her success. She would accomplish, achieve goals and be impressive, and she'd still have that feeling there's something missing. I don't feel it. I don't feel the confidence. I don't feel accomplished. Still feel there's more expected of me. I still feel I'm expecting more of myself. There's constant unease, constant uncertainty. And that uncertainty and unease impacted everything that she did, every conversation she had, how she showed up to work, the decisions she made, the goals she went for. And now here we are at this stage in her confidence journey. And she literally said these words to me this morning. Oh, I just don't have that anymore. I'm too busy in the accomplishment of where I am. That wasn't her exact sentence, but that was what she shared with me very emotionally on screen today. It was essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but she's too busy being in the accomplishment of where she is, feeling the confidence, having internalized the success that she has achieved along the way. I'm slightly digressing because I'm transported into thinking about this client and the amazing results, the transformation, right, in her confidence, and how that has impacted her approach to her work, how it has impacted and changed her overthinking and her overworking and her self-sabotage. All of those symptoms of imposter syndrome, all those secret signs of imposter syndrome, wow, she hardly has them anymore. Or she has them at this higher level, but she knows exactly how to tackle them. She's got her speech. She knows who she is. She remembers who she is. She's connected to her capability, and it's amazing. All right, I'm going to stop talking about my client. I could end up doubling the length of this episode just talking about her results. It's been amazing. I want this for you. If you have ever doubted your enoughness, if you have ever questioned the level at which you're at, if you have ever questioned your value that you bring to the room, right, Confident Black Lawyers is going to be so fantastic for you. If you spend so much time wanting and seeking external validation, Confident Black Lawyers is exactly what you need. External validation, another symptom of imposter syndrome. We tackle it all. I cover so many of those symptoms inside the program. You will not recognize yourself after doing this course, my friend. All right, I'm going to put a link to Confident Black Lawyers in the notes, either in the show notes to the podcast or in the notes underneath this video. If you want to learn any more, just DM me on any of the socials except Facebook. Don't DM me on Facebook. DM me on LinkedIn or on Instagram. Or you can always email me, caroline@carolineflanagan.com. And if you have been struggling, or not even if you've been struggling, if you're just tired of how procrastination keeps holding you back, it keeps coming up, then Confident Black Lawyers, it's the program for you, my friend. All right, I look forward to seeing you next week. And in the meantime, stay well, get on with that work, stay with the heart. See you next time. Bye for now.